Hello， 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博然。In a symbolic show of the current state of the United States of America, embassy staff in Beijing were rushing to iron the defects out of two US flags, moments before Secretary Blinken held a press conference to conclude his two-day visit of Beijing. As is the reality across many aspects, their desperate attempts to maintain America's glittery facade of yesteryear failed, and the conference went ahead with two wrinkled and lifeless flags. Today we'll discuss Blinken's visit and what, if anything, was achieved. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Boreham in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has concluded an official two-day visit of China, which, apart from both sides agreeing that communication is good and that a stable relationship between China and the US is important for the world, didn't see any concrete actions made. Blinken landed in Beijing on Sunday morning, and even his arrival brought up hilarious examples of the Western media's propensity to tweak the truth in order to maintain the prevailing image of China as dark, dirty, dangerous, and dystopian. Check out this image taken on site as Blinken disembarked from his plane in Beijing. Note the crisp blue sky. Now check out these snaps in Western media, which literally get darker and darker as we scroll through. This meme went viral in China on the day, with the vast majority of Chinese netizens understanding the Western media's tricks completely. But the award for most hilarious propaganda has to go to Voice of America's Rong Xiang, who literally sent two contradictory tweets one after the other. First, she sent this tweet mentioning Secretary Blinken's arrival in Beijing, with a photo showing that crisp blue sky. Within minutes, though, her propaganda training kicked into gear with this gem in Chinese, perhaps thinking that she could trick her followers by using two languages with two completely different messages. It reads, 星期天北京的天空浓浓的雾霾. On Sunday, Beijing is blanketed with thick smog. Honestly, you truly can't get any more blatant. Thanks for the laugh, though, Ms. Rong. On Sunday, Blinken met with China State Councillor and Foreign Minister Qin Gang, and the two held lengthy talks. Apart from talking and agreeing that talking was important, not much else was achieved. Each stressed the need to maintain close communication in order to avoid misperception and miscalculation. Blinken invited Qin to Washington to continue talks. Both agreed on the importance of people-to-people exchanges, and the US side suggested that it will continue to push its idea of American centrism and how it believes the world should be, stating, the Secretary made clear that the United States will always stand up for the interests and values of the American people and work with its allies and partners to advance our vision for a world that is free, open, and upholds the international rules-based order. Now, as we all know well, this idea of the so-called international rules-based order is more often than not just a mix of selectively applied certain laws and treaties, many of which the US refuses to actually sign up to or ratify, and pushing mere ideas and views shared only by the US and its allies, basically Anglo states and Japan and sometimes South Korea, as if they are somehow international law. As expected, China stressed that Taiwan is the reddest of red lines when it comes to China-US relations. Qin said that Taiwan is at the core of China's core interests, and that the Taiwan issue is the biggest risk in Sino-US relations. Interestingly, the US side mentioned Blinken bringing up a number of issues of concern, but stopped short of laying those out in the readout. They will most likely just be a list of China bad tropes like human rights issues in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, Tibet, the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, and the Taiwan issue. But having not spelled them out this time might be a sign of goodwill from the US side. Then on Monday, Blinken was allowed a meeting with President Xi Jinping, where the latter made clear just how important getting along is for the world. According to Xinhua news agency, Xi pointed out that the planet is big enough to accommodate the respective development and common prosperity of China and the United States. The Chinese, like the Americans, are dignified, confident, and self-reliant people, he said, adding that they both have the right to pursue a better life. He added, "The common interests of the two countries should be valued, and their respective success is an opportunity instead of a threat to each other." He added that the international community does not want to see conflict or confrontation between China and the United States, or choose sides between the two countries, and it expects the two countries to coexist in peace and have friendly and cooperative relations. Secretary Blinken shared those sentiments and promised President Xi that the United States does not support Taiwan independence and that it does not seek conflict with China. As always, though, actions speak louder than words, and the US side has proven time and time again that their word really means nothing at this stage. Now, I want to quickly show you guys this video of Blinken shaking hands with President Xi because I think it's a clear insight into Xi's feelings. After shaking hands, watch how the president directly walks off towards his seat without first signaling to the secretary to join him in sitting down. It's very, very subtle and may not seem significant to anyone who doesn't fully understand China. But for me, it's a clear sign that he's fed up and not interested in overly welcoming pleasantries with the US at this stage. After the meeting, Secretary Blinken held a press briefing at the US Embassy. Now, you'll remember earlier I mentioned how embassy staff were desperately trying to iron the wrinkles and defects out of two US flags. They ultimately failed, and Blinken went ahead with the contradictory-laden speech where he mentioned not supporting Taiwan independence while at the same time suggesting Washington will continue flooding the island with weapons. This from Bloomberg.
I raised U.S. concerns, shared by a growing number of countries, about the PRC's provocative actions in the Taiwan Strait, as well as in the South and East China Seas. On Taiwan, I reiterated the long-standing U.S. One China policy. That policy has not changed. It's guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint communiques, the 6 assurances. We do not support Taiwan independence. We remain opposed to any unilateral changes to the status quo by either side. We continue to expect the peaceful resolution of cross-strait differences. We remain committed to meeting our responsibilities under the Taiwan Relations Act, including making sure that Taiwan has the ability to defend itself.
Now, the part that annoyed me the most was Blinken saying that the US and other countries are concerned about China's provocative actions in the Taiwan Strait and South and East China Seas. I just did a video about that recently, exposing how much of a lie that is. The only one undertaking provocative actions in the region are the US armed forces, who continue to sail warships and fly Air Force planes up and down China's border and across its territory. The Taiwan Strait, for example, is thousands and thousands of miles away from the continental USA. If their actions in the region are not provocative, then I do not know what is. So basically, Blinken's visit failed to achieve much apart from the two sides getting together to talk face-to-face, which is a good thing in itself, but as I said earlier, actions speak louder than words. China has been extremely consistent in its stance, and what China says is truly what China does. Now the onus is on the US side to allow the changes necessary to improve relations between the world's 2 largest economies for the sake of the entire planet. But with a US election gearing up, I'm not very confident that will happen anytime soon. But what do you think? Will these talks lead to any concrete changes? Or was it all just lip service? Do let me know down below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.